Hey all, and welcome to Discount Bin, a pack of pals reading, digesting, and arguing over fantasy novels in a weekly podcast format. This week is our first round of the Obelisk Gate, where we read the first 7 chapters. It's by N.K. Jemisin. It's the second book of the Broken Earth series. I'm Daniel. I'm here with Leonard,
Hello.
Rick,
Hey.
and Lexi.
Hiya.
So I think we just hop right into it, and we're going to continue kind of the trend of the last episode where we go by character-specific timelines instead of chapter by chapter.
All right, I'll go ahead and read our character summary of what we read. First up is Shafa. Shafa is on the ship with Cyanite as she destroys it. Guardians are harder to kill than your average human. Through a combination of luck and toughness, Shafa is not immediately killed, but he's seriously injured and drowning. He starts to panic, which leaves him vulnerable to a being. The being is angry and offers to save Shafa, which he accepts. But Shafa doesn't have enough oxygen and starts suffering brain damage, losing many of his memories. He swims to the shore and passes out. He's found by a man named Litz, who takes him to a nearby calm. Litz's grandson discovers that Shafa is a guardian and discloses that he's an origine. Shafa agrees to take him and tells him to pack. The boy's mother talks with Shafa, and the voice in Shafa's head tells him to kill all the adults, which he does. Shafa then takes the boy and heads south.
So I still think Shafa's the good guy here.
Oh, yeah, was it this chapter that solidified that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's mentally ill now. Like, he's got to recoup from this, and it'll be fine. We'll fill in his memories with, like, happy thoughts.
Yeah.
And it was the bean that told him to kill everyone. He didn't want to do it.
Speaking of the bean, any theories on who that is?
Same person as last time. The big bad.
The big bad?
Same thing from the tunnel.
Father Earth.
Maybe Father Earth, maybe something else, but yeah, like the big bad that's been hanging out for what was going on in the Fulcrum.
Yeah.
I think the weaker they maintain their mental state, it seems like the more power it's got over them. So
yeah.
Maybe Guardians have like a constant fight with this. Maybe they really aren't bad. See, maybe Shafa's going to expel his bean, flick that bean right out of here, and he's going to become a good guy by the end of the show. Books.
What's Shafa going to do?
Flick the bean right out of here.
Okay, got it.
Oh man.
Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
I thought he lost his memories because he made a deal. Maybe I read that wrong.
Well, that's how it's portrayed.
Yeah, I thought the deal was what cost him his memories, not the lack of brain oxygen. But that sounds like it's definitely possible too.
I think it's both.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, I guess I read it as it was the lack of oxygen because he talked about how he got the gills, but like you can't, or not gills, I guess. Mm-hmm. But he could like kind of breathe. But because if it was taking the deal, then I feel like it would have completed its work. But like it stopped once he got up to the surface and was able to breathe again.
I think it's like any kind of deal that you make with like a magical being in like fiction. Yeah. Like there's unforeseen consequences. Like you ask for something and you're not explicit enough, or in this case, like you're dying, you're gonna take whatever you can get.
Yeah.
And
yeah, for sure.
Magic beans.
I mean, he was driven by the purpose, right? Purpose of still fighting the Maya again. That was why he took the deal.
Anger. So much anger.
Yeah. Did this chapter make you hate him more, Lexi, or just kind of the same?
Oh, it confirmed everything. Even after losing his memories, he's still just this evil person with a drive to kill.
Yeah.
Like there's like no bars anymore.
You don't think the thing in his head's like making that drive happen?
No, I think that's just Shafa. I think it's like a warlock and his patron demon.
Okay.
Yeah,
you mean Mr. Hyde in Dr. Jekyll?
Not even so much that. Just like Shafa is just a terrible person and it makes a fantastic pawn for whatever this being is, whatever this hive mind that is in all of the Guardians.
I just kind of hope not. In a way, like he doesn't have to be a good guy, but like I don't like just straight up evil people as characters. I think it's bad design.
I do too. And I do think you made a good point earlier about like his mental illness and his amnesia that he now has, like that. I think that's supposed to, by design, make us like feel sorry for him. Like, oh well, he doesn't know, but his instincts are terrible.
Yeah,
Right?
but then he goes and like kills an entire family that just saved him.
Yeah.
The line that like, oh, go ahead, Leonard. What?
Sorry, no, it was that ability when he was explaining that he can take something when he touches the back of the neck. That I couldn't really make sense of that, but that was like another piece of mystery, right? Like he said that origins have a lot to give, but not steals, and steals die when he does that, right? It implies that he's stealing something from them when he does that. I don't know what.
Yeah, and it's making him feel more whole.
He's taking their mana so he can cast spells.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
something like that.
Whatever their equivalent of
the magic probably. Yeah, that we find out about later.
Maybe the magic juice is gonna make that bean sprout in his head.
Yeah. The line that like really solidified him as like a total piece of shit in my mind was when Cyanite was, smothering her child. Said,
yes.
Shafa saw her hand on the child's face, covering mouth and nose, pressing. Incomprehensible. Did she not know that Shafa would love her son as he loved her? He would lay the body down gently, so gently, in the wire chair. It's like, God, fuck that guy.
I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah, he's so twisted that he actually just can't understand her actions, and
right.
Like, he thinks he's doing, good. And he's obviously not.
You guys ever watch the TV show Heroes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The main villain, I think he was like one of the creepiest villains I've ever met because he has the ability to steal other people's powers.
For the first
Shafa reminds me of that.
The first season
even
version?
the whole touching the back of the neck thing, right? Sylar has to touch the third piece of the brain or something, like behind the brain. And the fact that Shafa has to touch behind the neck kind of reminds me of that guy and the whole creepy vibe too.
Yeah. I do think it's all the magic, like the weird bead that's inside his head, man, just like causing almost all of this insanity, all of this all of these weird needs, the smiling, the weird just physical tics, everything.
The living for hundreds of years.
No, that one's just him. He's just real good.
We did confirm that he has a good exercise and diet regimen, so maybe it's just really good.
Yeah. I said, I kind of like. I hope that he doesn't have to have like a fully redeeming feature, but I hope this is all like explaining where maybe like he's gonna get a moment to pop out of this instead of just be vile the entire freaking series. Because I just don't like just vile characters. It's just they're just not fun.
For sure. So the chapter ends with the quote. It says, "Don't be fooled. The Guardians are much, much older than old Sansa, and they do not work for us."
I like it.
Makes me wonder who they work for.
Daddy.
Daddy Earth.
Daddy Earth.
Oh, there's just so many pieces that still don't add up yet. It's so hard to speculate.
What if the moon? What if the moon actually was cognizant, and that's why we blew up the fucking moon, because it was planning to destroy Earth, and now they scattered all these moon rocks everywhere, and that's what they're shoving in these people's heads, and it's just talking to them, trying to get back to.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That would make sense if Father Earth is like actually the Earth, and the moon was his son or his child or whatever.
Yeah.
Then it would be cognizant.
I like it. I like that a lot.
overall, pretty short chapter. We see, Shafa head south, and we catch up with him later in the south. But he picked up another orogeny, and that's about it. And, all the murders, of course.
Yes.
It was a really gory
Lest
scene.
we forget.
Should we move on to Nasun?
Yeah. I do have a question for you guys, but it might be... I'll save it for the end after we talk about everything.
Okay.
Nasun. Lorists are troubadours, people who go from town to town telling stories. A lorist named Renthri comes to Trimo, and Nasun wants to receive training from her. Nasun uses her originy power to find a diamond to give to Renthri. Because she's still a child, she doesn't realize the diamond is worth a small fortune. Renthri tracks down Nasun's father, Jija, and returns the diamond. Jija knows rocks and becomes suspicious. Uche wakes up from his nap and asks Jija about the shiny rocks in his pocket, confirming to Jija that he is an originy. Jija snaps and beats Uche to death. Nasun comes home to find Jija standing over Uche's body. Jija can't bring himself to murder her, so he takes her with and leaves Tiramo, heading south. As they travel, Nasun explains to Jija that she wanted to tell him that she was an originy, but Asun forbade it. She grabs his arm and he hits her, knocking her off the wagon. Jija is crying and apologetic, telling her that he loves her. This is the moment Alabaster's sundering of the earth hits them. Nasun deflects much of the damage around them, so they aren't killed. Jija turns to Nasun and asks her if she caused the shake. This is the moment Nasun realizes that she is not safe with Jija, and she starts to manipulate him to stay alive. Jija and Nasun spend the next year traveling south to the Arctic. They run into bandits and lose the horses and wagon. Nasun kills a small comm of people who are going to kill them. Finally, they come to a small mountain that was made with originy. This was Jija's goal, a place called the Moon, where it is rumored that they can cure people of their originy. Before they do anything, Jija gets shot through the leg with a harpoon, and Shafa kills a couple of bandits. Nasun reaches deep into the earth and finds something new, something which gives her more precise control. She cuts the end of the harpoon with this power. Shafa touches the back of Nasun's neck, and they move to help Jija into the calm, which is called Found Moon.
So chapter 1 of this book, I was like, oh, screw my Jija didn't kill Uche theory, because that went out the window.
In fact, Jija's kind of a dick.
Jija's the worst.
They're both
kind of... Sorry, piggybacking after what Rick was saying about Shafa, I do feel this way towards Jija. That, he is just unbelievably vile for no reason.
Yeah.
And they try to explain it with using, temper and, all this pent-up anger, but it does feel unbelievable. Whereas Shafa, is just, mentally ill. He has something inside his brain, right?
Is there any nice male characters in this book? That are just...
I think Alabaster's nice, even though he's a dick.
He blew up the world.
I think he was right to do that.
People.
Oh, I'm just saying, I'm getting this
Lerna?
vibe.
Lerna? Well, no, Lerna's kind of an ass.
Lerna's an ass, and B, I'm still thinking maybe Lerna's up to something. I'm just kind of
the guy that Asun murdered in the beginning of the first book.
Oh yeah,
Rask, was that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and the lover guy, he's pretty nice, right?
Oh yeah.
We got turned inside out.
Yeah. They should stop killing all the nice men, and maybe there'd be a nice guys finish last kind of story.
Well, I'm just kind of getting the opposite of Jordan vibe, where it's we're just gonna write all the men as some dude that this lady hates.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just okay.
It's refreshing. It's fun, but I don't care.
It is refreshing, but as somebody who's married to somebody else, Like, I can't imagine being married to somebody else. And, like, she was subconsciously trying to recreate the family that she had with Alabaster and their lover, right? But to marry somebody and have kids with them, with this person who is apparently so volatile that he can witness something and then immediately beat a toddler to death.
Do you not see, like, she didn't try to recreate Alabaster? She tried to recreate Shafa. She wanted to marry Shafa and have kids with him. No,
that's too deep. We can't.
What?
We can't
I'm not
talk about
joking. That. Like, that's it. Like, that she found another Shafa that wasn't gonna murder her. And
you think?
Yes, and he murdered their kid, and then he got caught by the real Shafa. I think so. I mean, honestly, like, the way that, like, this weird back and forth kind of, it wasn't real manipulation. It wasn't as bad, but I was getting Shafa vibes from Jija.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end. He's, like, trying to rectify his, like, hatred for Origines with the love for his daughter.
Right, and the possessiveness of the daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think get real manipulation vibes from Jija, because he seems like he's just fucking out of control.
She was being manipulative. Sorry,
Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Good on her for that, because
she survived.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was really surprised, by the hate that she harbors for her mother. Like.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of funny because it's like in the same sentence she's like, I hate her, but Mom always says this,
Right.
And she takes all the lessons to heart, but yeah, it's dynamic. But then again, she's a kid, like,
yeah,
if it's like, you're gonna hate your parents sometimes you're not, especially like,
right.
And then you have this extra dynamic of your mom and you and your brother are all people who are, like, wanting to be murdered all the time.
Right.
It did feel like more than that, just like a kid trying to, the kid that, like, throws a temper tantrum and is like, I'm gonna run away,
right.
for like an afternoon, because she was, like, actively planning how to get away from her mother. And, like, even after she walks in on Uche and Jija standing over him, she asks Jija, is Mom coming with us? And when he says no, she, like, relaxes, and that just shows, like, how desperate she is. And
yeah,
it made me think how, like, Asun's was an abused child, and, like, abused children often grow up to abuse their children,
Yeah.
And so would not be out of character.
Yeah, we have no idea what their interactions were really like yet.
I hated chapter 1. I felt like so many things didn't make sense there. Like the fact that she watches her brother get murdered, hands bloody. He asks, are you one too? And she goes ahead and hugs him. Like, that's the furthest from reality response I was expecting. Like, she's terrified, but she walks up to him to hug him. I'm like, your brother's dead. He just killed him because he discovered what he is. And that is your first response?
I think she just
felt wrong.
I don't think she really understands, she's like 10. I don't think she's, like, fully, like, comprehending that, oh, my father just beat him to death. And, when you're a kid, you trust your parents pretty implicitly. And, like, I don't think it's that wild for her to not instantly make that connection and stop trusting her dad.
That whole sequence felt off. Like, I don't know. I felt like so many things that happened in that first chapter just didn't add up. Like, they're not behaving in the ways I thought they would behave, and I guess I was kind of in a rush to get through the first chapter too, because the author left like a cliffhanger at the end of the first book, and then the first chapter, the second book, was like talking about this Loris. I'm like, what the fuck? Please get me back to what happened last book, right? Like, so firstly, I kind of rushed the chapter, but secondly, I didn't feel like the sequence of events made sense.
I thought it was explained pretty well in the book. And I guess I thought it was believable, but I could see how it's hard to, like, understand that as an adult, especially.
I think from, like, what you guys were saying, like, she was afraid of her mother, I didn't see it that way. I thought because Cyanide she grew up in the Fulcrum, right? It was a lot about being tidy, a lot about being disciplined, and I think she brought Nasun up the same way. like making sure that she folds her clothes correctly, like she bathes correctly, even like just standard discipline stuff that she got from the fulcrum. And maybe Nasu's just not very, she doesn't like really like that. Not a lot of children like that kind of lifestyle, right? I saw it more of like she's tired of the mom nagging her rather than she fears the mother.
Yeah, I think just going back to that sentence that Daniel read or recalled for us about where she visibly relaxes when Jija says that Asun is not coming with. Like, to me, that was like she really dislikes her mom, that she feels safer with the person that murdered her brother than with her and that person.
That could just be shock, too.
It could be.
But
yeah.
But she was like actively hunting. Like that's why she wanted to like study under the Lorist, is to get away from her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, you have to wonder how much of that is her mother's training her, right, as an orogeny, and the only way she's been trained is through the fulcrum, right, which I'm guessing is not a very pleasant training regimen. And so, I'm sure she had a terrible. Yeah,
I have a feeling we're going to read and find out more.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But like, what are they going to do? Just flashbacks?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get a flashback of her and her kid. Like.
So kind of like in the Shafa chapter where he had that like one quote where it made me really hate him. Jija had one of these in Nasun's storyline where he knocks her off the cart and she starts crying, or no, he starts crying and like apologizing, and he goes, oh Earth, you evil son of a ruster, not this one too, you can't have this one too. I was like, you motherfucker, like you're the one who just murdered your son. It wasn't Earth that killed him. I don't know. Just no.
How dare you make me raise my fist?
Yeah, also, just not taking responsibility for anything.
Yeah,
hate that.
Not just that too. Like him crying scene, it felt like there was two ways to interpret that. Firstly, the first way to interpret it is that he was really, he felt guilty about hurting his daughter, right? But the second way felt like he was afraid that he was going to trigger something. Like, like when orogenies get very emotional. So if you interpret it that way, he was afraid that he traumatized her and something bad will happen. It could have been seen that way too, but it's hard to tell with Jija.
I mean, I think he was definitely afraid. Like they pointed out that, Nasun noticed its fear, and like he's going back between love and fear of her, basically. Yeah. But I think the crying was just self-pity. Like, oh, what have I had to do, or what have I been forced to do?
Mm-hmm. If you just weren't born the way you're born, I wouldn't have to hit you.
Yeah.
It just sounds like she's got, like, depending on how Asun's been treating her, like, this girl's just got abusive parents.
Yeah.
She sounds very talented to all well trained. At least when described like how she controls her powers, like mother either trained her very well or she's just talented, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the part where she reaches down underneath the volcano, I wasn't sure if that was something that like other people have done and we've seen that before, or if that was something new.
This is the ultimate obelisk. Like this is the origin. This is where they're building the obelisks underground in the fulcrum, right? It's probably reaching out to whatever that source is.
I mean, they explain it's the heat, right? It's their powers come from heat, and the volcano or lava is basically that huge source of heat for her to use.
But she reaches past
the mantle.
Yeah, she went past the volcano and grabbed something underneath that.
The moon.
The core.
The chunk.
And I thought they had talked about like alabaster reaching basically all the way to the core. So I don't know.
Oh, maybe she's a 10-ringer.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just like that. Can't she call the obelisks? I think you have to be able to call obelisks before you can be a 10-ringer.
What if you just skip that part and you just go and call the earth?
I mean, Cyanide was calling it with 4 rings, so I don't know if you need to get that far.
technically speaking, she is still a 4-ringer.
Yeah,
Right.
officially.
I want to talk about Shafa and Nasoon, and he also kills Jija. It's not. If we're gonna talk all about Shafa, okay, so we're
Shafa
gonna talk
doesn't
about.
kill Jija.
Yeah, Jija is still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're literally pulling him
He
out.
had a
Unless you read it.
harpoon,
He's gonna kill
harpoon
Jija,
in his body,
like-
but he's
Well,
still
he might
breathing.
kill Jija, but
He's
we
gonna
end.
kill Jija.
Okay,
Did
well,
you read
Jija's
ahead?
not dead.
I did not read ahead. Yeah.
Oh, he
just-
definitely did it. Like as far as a theory, sure. Like he was the one that shot the spear.
Yeah.
Is that
absolutely.
like that's clearly?
Yeah.
But like as
Yeah.
far as we know, he didn't kill Jija yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need to get a physical copy so I can read you
You want me to read you the last page? Because that's what it's on.
I mean, like
it's
definitely
when he's
suggests-
talking about the familiarity of
Like I agree with you. He shot Jija.
I read the last few paragraphs. No, I don't think Jija is dead.
do you
I'm
Jija's
pretty-
not.
Shafa volunteered to lift him. Like, this is one of the lines. He said he nods towards her father. I can lift him while you shift the leg.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's that scene where Shafa touches the back of her head, but he did not harm Jija.
right? She sees
And-
all the spider webs.
I don't think Jija's gonna die anytime soon either. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna be a leverage.
Are we sure that Shafa was the one that shot him?
Not
Because the bandit was
entirely.
coming.
The way I read
said.
it, no.
Like
The way I read it, no.
like I said, I feel like it was like one of those inferring kind of things. Like
So
they were too much not talking about it for him to be the cause. You know, I don't know how to explain it. I guess.
So
Like, they didn't
when Shafa, actually there was a description there that says that when Shafa showed up to go take care of the bandits who shot at Jija, he came back with the knife still hanging off his sides and dripping with blood, right? Like a blood that's obviously not theirs. So Shafa killed something or someone
They
before
killed
walking up
two
to
of the
them.
bandits.
Yeah. So it makes me believe that Shafa wasn't the one who shot the harpoon at them, but was the one who actually rescued them.
No body, no proof.
Rescued.
Yeah, rescued.
Yeah.
See, Shafa's a good guy. He killed bandits.
Yeah.
The end.
Any ideas on what the Found Earth comm is all about? I feel like Jija heard the story that they can take away orogeny powers. I feel like that's a rumor that Shafa would put out there just to gather,
Mm-hmm.
children who are orogenic and train them himself.
Or get parents to bring them to him.
Yeah.
So that they could get rid of this gross disease that
It's Jija bot, hook, line, and
Yeah.
sinker.
Or maybe when he gets more orogenies, he can steal more from them, more of whatever that is. It seems
Right.
like he needs it somehow.
like the pseudo cannibalism thing.
Yeah. So I mean, it definitely sounds like for ulterior motives. I just thought it was super convenient that somehow Nasoon walks into Shafa. I'm not really big fan of coincidences, and that was
Yeah.
oh, okay, all right.
Okay, so I can forgive the coincidence of her going to this place where Shafa is. What I can't forgive is listening to the description of Nasoon as being so much like her father and looking so much like her father and having very little of her mother in her physical features. But then immediately Shafa's like, "Do I know you? Have we met before? You look so familiar."
I wonder if it was her magical feel or whatever that's
Yeah.
very similar to Asun or something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely
Perhaps.
the only explanation though, because
Yeah, unless Shafa's actually been following him or something, or been keeping tabs on him.
Yeah.
Because the Shafa part before was 10 years earlier-ish?
yeah.
Yeah, I want to know what happened to that boy. But Shafa's right-hand man.
Oh,
I feel like
Thanks.
probably, right?
Or consumed for the mana.
Yum.
Yeah. The last thing I had was the author, Jemisin. She likes to use this later she will remember this, but for now she forgets all the relevant info kind of thing. And she does it a few times. And like, especially at the end of this chapter, the Nassoon storyline, it kind of seems like a bit much because Nassoon sees like the magic transfer to Shafa, sees his webs where he's connected to a bunch of other Orogenies. She sees they all connect to the back of his head, and she thinks he's not alone in there. And then she just forgets it all. And it's like, if they're like, there's better ways to like convey information to the readers than just having your characters just forget a ton of information on the fly. But
Yeah.
just a minor pet peeve. It is interesting to note that this timeline is now like 6 to 9 months further along than Nassoon's, because I think she traveled for, what was it, like 2 months, and
year,
they've been
right?
traveling for a year.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Does the book have any fun like timeline drawings for you, like where you
No.
can compare and contrast next to the map?
There's a map, but there's not like for that specific chapter or that time.
Right.
Right. I didn't actually piece that together, but yeah, the Nassoon hasn't spent that long in Castrima, and Nassoon's like 1 year later.
That's all I got. Should we move on to Nassoon?
Yeah. Okay. Let's catch up on Assoon. We pick up right where we left off in the last book. Assoon is in the underground calm called Castrima. Alabaster has just asked her if she's ever heard of the moon. She hasn't, and he doesn't explain. He tells her to try and call an obelisk. She talks to Ika. Ika tells her that she wants her to join the calm and to be a part of her leadership group. Then Ika and Lerna escort her outside along with some guards, where she calls the onyx and topaz obelisks. Later, after they come back, Assoon hears a man screaming in pain. One of the citizens of the calm was on patrol outside and came in contact with some kind of insect that gets inside of your skin and boils you. Alabaster shows her that she can use her originy to kill the bugs and save the man, which she does, drawing the power from the bugs to herself. Ika takes the power and then transfers it to the crystals in the walls. Assoon discovers that every time Alabaster does originy, another part of him turns to stone. She is sitting in a corner when Lerna comes and talks to her. Lerna is upset because he's going to have to kill the man because he is useless to the calm now and he's lost his legs. Lerna gets angry at Assoon and tells her that she needs to be a part of the calm and she needs to fix the world before humanity dies out. Later, Assoon asks Tonki about the moon, but Tonki has never heard of it. They discuss Yumina's leadership and how each family was trusted to keep certain things safe and secret. Tonki's family had a vault with maps, writings in an unknown language, and a tiny, perfectly round yellow stone which could punch holes in people. The obelisks are older than their history, more than 20,000 years old. The Yumina's leadership believe that they are the way to fix the world. The stories say that the obelisks held the world together when it would have come apart, and they implied there might someday be a way to end the seasons. Assoon goes to visit Alabaster in the infirmary. The Stone Eater Antimony is humming a song while he sleeps. Assoon scolds her for not taking better care of him and berates her for taking Alabaster when they needed him. Alabaster wakes and talks a bit about his mother. He thinks Assoon is a 9-ringer now. He tells her that he destroyed the fulcrum when he destroyed Yumina's. Alabaster tells Assoon to use her power to feel his arm. She feels the stone and then his blood and goes deeper until she can spot the things inside him that make him an origine. It's magic. She must learn to control the magic inside of her.
It's nice that you gain 3 rings by being a parent of an erogenous kid. She was like thinking about what she'd done, or he was like, "What have you been doing?" And she was like, "Well, I was stilling, the earth around." I don't know. It's like, doesn't
Constantly.
every parent with kids do that?
Oh.
Which brings me back to what Leonard was saying, like, I think episode 1, about how every kid would just like blow up the world, basically, right? Like every time they have a temper tantrum, and I feel like that would be so common. And, when we talked about it, I had the theory that, they mostly just stilled because that's like what that's their
Instinct.
Thank you. But they talk specifically about how every time like kids can have temper tantrums and just like freak the fuck out and like destroy stuff. And like, how would you get through a toddler's life without them destroying the comm?
So Alabaster explained when Asun told him about it, he says that that's why he believes that orogenic children can only be raised by orogenic parents, because the parents are constantly there to quell all the temper tantrums and to teach them control.
Yeah, for sure. But they've also talked about how it's not hereditary, and so there's other orogenic children being born to non-orogenic parents, and every one of those children must like just destroy the comms around them. I don't know. It seemed like a pretty big plot hole.
So many plot holes.
Yeah, I don't. So I guess again, perspective while reading is different between all of us. But like when I remember reading about that in the first book, it was never like they could have the power to destroy comms, right? But most often they were discovered like with somebody getting pushed at school and they have a little small Taurus, right? Or like they freeze a chicken, or they freeze a person. But never did we ever hear about somebody actually, like a toddler, destroying a comm.
But I think that's because like Demaya had some control over it, right? And like she stopped herself from doing it, from doing anything.
Right. But like we didn't there was no other examples given. Like it could happen in theory, right?
Well,
yeah.
But it wasn't explicitly said that was what was happening. And I think it's very unlikely because like they talk about the newborn power and it's to still, right?
I mean, could that not also be like a secondary part of the towers that they have around to keep their still? I forgot what they called them. Like
the node maintainers.
The node maintainers could be partially just constantly not.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
They could counter that.
Yeah, I think like mostly when it gets to them though, right? Like I don't think that would save the comm it started in necessarily.
Maybe,
unless it was like really close.
Right, but maybe it's just like this post-apocalyptic world. These comms rise and fall. Like it's really weird for them to last 100 years.
I'm just saying the examples that we have of people losing control, like these kids losing control, like it's like a 5-foot Taurus, right? Like if we're not talking about destroying like a 2-mile settlement.
Well, the thing is, throughout the books, they keep mentioning that comms are usually not very old. They don't last very long, and they usually get destroyed due to a shake or something. How do you know if the shake was not caused by an orogenic child that was born and didn't know how to control his powers? We don't have any evidence of survival because everything's just destroyed, right? And
right.
The fact that so many comms are like 1 season young means something must be happening to those comms over and over.
I think you just said it. It's 1 season young. And I'm not saying that these origines are not causing the seasons, because we have one here that caused this season. But I do think it's the seasons that are the reason why comms are so young.
Or it could be masking it too. I mean, it could be everything. Because like how many we've only seen a couple of like big comms, right? We've only seen a couple of actual cities.
And so far, all the big comms have had some origines in it maintaining some sort of control,
I mean,
and how many Assuns?
Again, we don't know.
How many Assuns are out there? Like even not nometators, just how many Assuns are like subconsciously maintaining things around them without even like the kids are doing it subconsciously. Like the kids might be subconsciously doing it against their own siblings.
Exactly.
I think we're a little off topic here. We're supposed to be talking about Asun's chapters.
This is Assun. Assun literally blew up a town.
I got a rant about all her chapters. I'm so frustrated reading all her chapters. I hated reading all of them. Like, she's in a place with people who have all the answers, and she asks none of the relevant questions. Like, how are you like that? How is any normal person like that? why didn't she ask, like, why is a Stone Eater following every one of them? Why didn't she ask Alabaster in more detail, like, why are you here? What do you want me to do, right? Like, she briefly mentioned it, but I really hate that trope where Alabaster is like, I don't want to tell you because I don't want you to die. I hate that in shows so much. Like, this is so overused in so many movies, so many TV shows.
Or it's like,
And the reason is usually not good enough to justify not telling.
right. It's
And-
like, oh, there's no time to talk about it. 3-hour trip until we get to our destination.
Yeah, I hate it
Yeah.
when authors use this, and then usually when the big reveal comes out, it's like, oh, why didn't you just say so early, right? And it's just the whole like withholding information from everyone, and it's not just the withholding; it's the fact that Esun doesn't have any sense of curiosity. Like, are you serious? Like, Hoa seems great. I mean, he seems like he would take some questions, right? Like, why didn't he just ask Hoa, why are you following me? Why is Antimony following Alabaster? You know, like, it feels like there's like this some mechanic here at play that people don't understand, but they have no desire to know about it. And every time I read her chapter, it's like, please ask something useful, or please stop saying that I don't want to answer you because I'm trying to save you. I hate that trope so much. All her chapters are so frustrating to read because of that.
It's so funny you feel that way, because that was definitely how I was feeling at the end of book 1. And I feel like I'm actually starting to like Asuna a little bit in these chapters, because she finally is like getting information, and she's not just like in her self-pity world of, you know, mourning her son and looking for Nasun. And she's finally, you know, she has an actual conversation with Alabaster and gets some actual answers, and it gets cut short because he's got to take a shit. But, you know, it's more than we got in all of last book.
Not enough.
And she had like a real conversation with Tonki, who we don't get to see enough of.
Right.
Tonki?
Yeah.
No more Tonki.
But yeah, I definitely get your frustration. They should just like, yeah, they should just all be like, let's pool our knowledge, because mankind is literally coming to an end, and now is the time to try to save it before everyone becomes cannibals and all the resources run out.
Yeah.
This is kind of the last chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Lerna?
Yeah. What'd you think
What
of
a
him?
fucking emotional roller coaster with this dude.
Yeah.
He's a little frustrated.
I can understand
yeah.
his frustration, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I put myself
he
in his
lost-
shoes. I was like, Esun, what the fuck?
You killed everyone I know and love.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I
it's-
feel him, actually.
he's kind of got a reason to be a dick.
The first time I read it, I was like, Lerna's a fucking asshole. And then I read it again, or I skimmed it again, going through the summaries, and I was like, he's actually making some really good points, and he's like kind of forcing her to deal with, like, she still thinks of herself as an outsider. She's not like, her whole plan is basically no plan. And so he's kind of forcing her to have a plan and like, hey, start looking after other people and stopping, you know, this selfish person who just doesn't care about anyone. And so I was on his side, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think it was exactly what Asun needed to hear also, because Lerna's trying to get her to save the world, and that should be her goal.
Lerna was
Yeah,
also like,
I
fuck
feel
it,
like-
let's just kill us all.
I feel like that
Right, like-
response for there's like, oh yeah, maybe what should I do about it? Kind of concept.
Oh.
Didn't even think about fixing this shit.
Lexi, how'd you feel about Lerna after this?
Oh, I agree with you guys for the most part, but again, just like him sitting there with a smoke, right? Just like being so irate about Asun saving this dude and just towards Asun. Like, because before we knew, like, he had a crush on her and, like, was following her and, like, kept her secret for her. And then he blames her for what happened with the girl and the girl's father between after Teramu was like destroyed. I say destroyed lightly because like Asun only destroyed a small part of the town. She
She doomed the rest of it.
She doomed the rest of it.
Did he blame her for you talking about the like people he met on the road?
Yep. Yeah. He blames her for that.
I did not see that at all.
And like maybe it's not directly said, but like he had to go through that because of her.
Oh,
and that is
yeah. Which is true.
It's not true. He could have ran into anyone. Like,
well, he could have stayed in Tiramo if she didn't do it.
I mean, he could have stayed there in Tiramo even if she did do it, right?
I think the point was like because he says, "Am I gonna have to leave this comm also in the dead of night, knowing that somebody's gonna slit my throat?" I don't think he could stay in Tiramo because he like gave her shelter, and then as she left, she murdered a bunch of people. So I think they were gonna kill him.
I'm just saying, there's lots of options here.
There's literally leave or die.
That's not a lot of options here.
That's not a lot.
He could have gone east. He could have gone west. Like.
Oh, sure.
Like.
But the fact that he had to leave, he's gonna run into trouble no matter which way he went.
But that okay.
So it's okay for Asune to kill a whole town, but like Shafa killing like a family and he's the worst guy ever. I'm just saying.
Asune has the highest kill count so far. Not counting Alabaster, but
I was gonna say
Alabaster for sure.
Yeah, Alabaster probably higher, but wait, like the main characters, Asune has quite a lead on.
To be fair, we don't really know that much about Shafa's past. He might. He's got a lot of time.
He's got hundreds of years, yeah.
But currently in book, real kill count.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think Lerna did some growing up, and I think he holds some just, but some unjust resentment towards Asune.
I think it's mostly just.
Yeah, I think
and you know what he went through, right? He's like, also like in this acceptance phase now. It's like, oh, Asune can just kill us all if she feels like it. You know what? Let's just kill us all. Fuck it. You know, he's in that like, I can't do shit about it. Do whatever you want.
I mean, and he wasn't exactly expecting her to show up, right?
Maybe.
Well, as far as like
with the knowledge we have now,
let's assume
it's an incredible coincidence if he wasn't.
Right. Let's assume he wasn't. He didn't know that she was going to show up, and like right now he's dealing with some shit because that's got to be fucking traumatizing too, having to bolt after all of that. Like I said, friends, family, whatever. Be like you have to leave home because you're
okay. But he wasn't even in Tiramo for most of his life, right? Because he was out training to be a doctor.
Wow. Okay. So
I think he just went and trained for like a few years. I don't think he was like.
Dude was 14. He's so young.
So it's okay. So he can't be mad because he was out of.
He went off to college.
Yeah.
So
no,
it doesn't
he
matter.
can be mad. There is some just anger there. Like, don't get me wrong, but.
All right, let's move beyond Lerna. I don't think we're gonna see eye to eye, and it's fine. And who cares? It's fucking Lerna.
Yeah. He's not gonna play any major part in this book at all.
Totally not.
Lexi, do you think she's right to give up on searching for Nassoon?
Absolutely not.
Because she kind of just abandoned it without like even thinking about it, or like we didn't get any like reason for it other than she didn't find him here, and then or she didn't find her here, so she was just like, I guess
think Lerna convinces her, right?
Kind of, but I think it like this entire book she hasn't mentioned going to search for her. She hasn't like even thought about it. It doesn't seem like.
Can I take that thought one step further? This entire book, she has not led her own life at all.
She hasn't what?
Led her own life at all. None of her decisions are hers. Like everything's well, I like throughout the book, it's all of these are like all of her movement through this book in every timeline has been like somebody else's decision or a result of circumstance. Like I don't feel like she's making any of her. She wants to go get her daughter, and that was her big goal. But then she runs into, our Stone Eater friend, and then he's leading her along essentially. With that in mind, sure, but like leads her to the spot. Like I don't feel like she's actively doing anything in this book besides for she happens to be there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But right now, she's making that decision, right, to like stay.
Sure.
and to give up the search for now.
Because
for
somebody
now, at
told her
least.
to.
Yeah, I
It's
think
a big
Luna
plot
convinced her. Like, well, no, because he explains to her, like, even if you get in us soon, the world is ending.
Yes.
She's gonna turn into a cannibal like the rest of us. You fix this mess, and then you go get your girl.
But she's
Yeah.
been here now for like a couple weeks, right?
I think that no, this is like 3 days or 2 days, right?
She's been doing like chores and stuff and like switching between different
She-
roles.
Yeah.
She hasn't started her chores yet, right?
No.
She has. She's
Yeah.
already gotten like a shift, and she knows there are 6 shifts in a day. She learned it.
She
from
does,
that.
yeah. I thought that sentence was saying like she hasn't started her chores yet, but she knows that they run on 6 shifts instead of the usual 3 shifts because
Yeah.
she's gonna go report to this person. Like she hasn't started them yet.
I didn't think.
Oh, she said she was put on one. That's
Yeah,
why she
I don't-
learned
I
it.
don't
That
think-
doesn't.
Exactly. I'm with Lexi on this one. I don't remember her ever like suggesting that she's been doing this for a while or anything.
No.
Like-
Not for a while, but she was mentioned to have like started.
No. Well, she was assigned. She hasn't actually started it yet.
Hmm.
Like this
Okay.
is all still within the first like I think 48 hours of coming.
I thought there was definitely something in there about how it started doing chores and was like rotating through, which chores she's doing, so that she gets to know more people and what goes on in the comm, because Eco wants her for the leadership, basically. Anyways.
The biggest plot hole I felt like was missing there is in the first book, how when she first encountered Hoa has like she thinks that Hoa knows where her daughter is, and she asks him, where they headed, and Hoa could tell what direction, right? And after they reached Kastrima, she hasn't thought about it even once to ask him, do you know where she's headed? Like she just completely abandoned the thought that it felt like she completely abandoned the thought of looking for her daughter. Like she's thought about it as her mission, but the first obvious question to do that is to just ask Hoa, hey, do you have an idea where she is? Because it was pretty clear from the first book, she kept it around because he knew how to find her daughter. And now she's like,
Didn't
yeah, my
he
late-
in the first book explicitly say he can't find her now? Like that right when they got there, like this
he
is
said
where
there's
it is.
too many
This is
of
where
you,
it is.
There's
right?
too
There's too many of you, but it's like only 4 of them there. But the
The
thing
obvious
is,
thing to do would be take Hoa out and just keep moving south, because they were moving south, and see if he can pick up her trail again.
it's
That doesn't happen.
so many things that make sense.
But
around
well,
chapters.
now she's Shafa's, and Shafa's got his little army of them, and they're gonna do battle. And their little cities are gonna do battle. Or
Oh gosh.
Except Asun has pylons now. She's a lot stronger.
doesn't matter. Asun, sure. Oh, Asun's got pylons. Fucking what's
She's
her
got the
butts?
Onyx pylon.
Yeah,
What
but
does Shafa have?
she's what Shafa? The fucking Earth pylon, the whole Earth.
Yeah.
10 years of gathering erogenic people.
Yeah, and grabbing her own daughter who can like laser zap fucking cold streams into chains.
Yeah.
She got laser beam. She's a fucking Death Star, dude.
I do think that will be the ultimate confrontation is between Nasoon and Asun.
You think that'll happen this book, or just in the
I-
series?
In this series, I think. I think
really-
it'll probably be the last thing. Second to last thing.
I'm really curious about the title of this book and how that's going to
Yes.
like. That's no clues so far. First 7 chapters, 0 clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
Isn't
the
it-
author style, right? She likes to sprinkle a lot of this, and I
But-
don't think
5th season, straightforward. They told you 5th season's the bullshit seasons that we get.
Yeah.
Second book, no, we're gonna tell you probably the last page.
I
Have you
guess-
ever heard about the gate and then see it go? That's gonna be the last line.
Pretty sure that's the thing in the fulcrum, isn't it?
I think so too, but I think it's what her daughter was pulling power from, but they didn't specify that. They just said that
They didn't.
They just said they made obelisks from there.
And the thing in the
Yeah.
fulcrum's gone.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know that.
Yeah, we do.
The fulcrum's gone.
The fulcrum's destroyed, but that's
The hole.
He specifically said, I made sure the building that's called
the
Main
main.
mhm.
Yeah.
went in the hole.
Okay.
So
we don't know how
so
big that hole is, dude.
Right. Like,
it literally split the Earth from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's a big fucking hole.
I mean, it could still fall like solid and stay. Like, it's
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
What if it's a
It's-
gate? It's a gate to somewhere else. It just fell into the other
So-
place where the moon's hanging out.
I got a super lame theory about that. You know how every obelisk has like a different stone named after it? Topaz, amethyst, onyx. I feel like it's one of those, like the Dragon Balls thing. You get all 7
Oh.
obelisks together and the gate opens. You know?
I thought
Maybe.
maybe this is a prequel for Steven Universe. Oh, maybe we ever watch that. Okay.
It's just I was trying to make sense why each obelisk had like a different name to it, and why are they named, after specific colors. I wonder if they got all the obelisks together, something happens.
I think they're literally made out of those stones.
Oh, are they?
Really?
That's what I was assuming.
I was assuming I'm in the same sense of Leonard, at least along the lines of I figured it's just a Dragon Ball thing, but their naming convention, not necessarily them summoning a big dragon, but like, in that they name all of their things after like random instruments and other things.
I think that's the actual material, too.
Yeah.
Can't
Like
be
it's an
though, because
obelisk made of onyx.
they're described as indestructible, and topaz isn't exactly a very strong mineral. Like it feels like all the obelisks are made of something really special, but it's probably the way it's colored or the way it looks that they're describing it differently. I
What
think
if
it's
it
just a name that they gave rather than the actual material they're made out of.
They're probably indestructible because they're flying half a mile into the sky and nobody can get up there because they don't have like planes.
And yeah.
But no, that is a good point. I hadn't really thought of that.
Or they're just named if they're like stone eaters and hanging out inside them, right? What if it's just like
Sometimes.
that's the end? Well, what if they all have stone eaters in them, and we know that stone eaters basically pick an origine that they fucking consume, and all these origines are named after different stones. We're gonna have an alabaster one pop up here once this lady's done snacking on him.
That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They merge, but like not in like Dragon Ball fusion, but more like literal merge, where you are where you eat.
Are you guys ready for my question?
I got
Okay.
a couple more. If that's
my
okay.
god! Oh my
Okay.
god, Daniel!
All right. So this is another writing qualm, I guess. When Asun hears the guy that's dying with the hot rock insects.
Those
There's,
bugs
like,
were cool shit, by the way.
Yeah,
That was
cool
one of my
concept.
favorite things that have come out of this book series so far. I'm not even kidding. Like these
Yeah.
fucking steam boil bugs that are fucking yes.
Mhm.
I mean that's the first time we've seen another animal since the
Kirakuza.
Kirakuza. Yeah. I'm kind of excited more to see about like other things living in this thing that can still survive. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sorry. Continue.
Well, there's all this talk, like all the writing was like she doesn't know why she's running towards the sound because she doesn't care about the person, and it's not an intentional thing, but you start pushing forward to get inside, and it's like I don't understand what the purpose is behind this. Like it makes it sound like she's like desperately trying to get there, but she doesn't care and she doesn't know why.
Because
And
she doesn't
then-
control her life. She's a puppet.
Like if they just wanted her to be there, which was an important part of the story, just have her be there. She could have been visiting Alabaster and she's already there, or she could have just been in the neighborhood.
It's
Like, what if
poetic.
Is it?
It's something that occurs in books, like feeling like you're being drawn somewhere, even though there's no explicit reason
So-
why.
There is a reason why. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses for the author, but Yika does have the power to draw origines to her constantly.
Ika comes in after she does.
Really?
Yeah.
But Yika was there first. I don't remember the order.
No, because she comes in and then she like looks like astonished, and then she like schools her face and like to like keep calm. And I soon notices all that.
So I was like semi joking about the puppeteering thing, but like more and more it feels like both Shafa and her are being puppeted. Like
I mean, Shafa definitely is now.
Shafa is
Yeah.
obvious, we see it, but what if she is too? What if Hoa, or what if something else, something has been puppeting her all along too? Or once she hit that first point where like maybe it wasn't the entire time, but maybe it was only after Alabaster like tapped into her ability through the basically tied her to the obelisks when he tapped the obelisk or something. Like it could have been something else that did this, but what if, again,
Yeah.
versus Earth thing, they're like just little puppets. Like it would excuse dumb things like that, where she just happened to be there.
Yeah. All right, last one. Any idea what the yellow stone is that was in Tonki's family vault? It's another one of those things where it's like seems too specific to never come back.
Big old chunk of sulfur.
Some key to some device.
Yeah.
I think it's a sun.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
sorry. Everyone else had a theory. I don't.
Yeah, I have nothing.
It's just a rock, dude. Nothing. There's nothing there. Don't worry about it.
It says
It's
it like
never
burn-
gonna
I
come
mean,
back.
burns
any
through
any
people.
rock could punch a hole through a person if you throw it hard enough, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I was trying to think because I am slowly becoming more convinced that this is our world. And so I was trying to think of like yellow rocks in our world that can throw holes through people, but are also like a perfect sphere. But I couldn't think of anything.
Nail
a tool.
gun.
It is just a nail gun. Yeah, I think you're right.
Nails are perfect spheres of yellow rock.
No, the nail gun.
Well, like the nail gun.
Yeah, it's a
And then
sphere-shaped nail gun.
Oh. Is that a thing?
I
In 20
100%
years,
do think
maybe.
it's ours.
Okay.
Yeah, this is 40,000 years in the future, dude.
Yeah.
Like they gave us a timeline somehow. Even though our oldest person's 300 years old that we know so far.
Yeah. I think they said
Oh.
20,000 years, but yeah.
Okay. 20, 40, that's fine.
Same.
Yeah, realistically read to find out. But that's a poor thing for a podcast to say. So yeah, I agree. I'm gonna second the nail gun idea.
Excellent. All right, let's get to Lexi's question because I
Okay.
am done.
Awesome. Okay. Does it feel like the author had the universe and the characters figured out from the start? Or do you guys think that she is making stuff up as she goes?
I think all three were made beforehand, and she's just splitting it up into 3 books to make more money. Not really, but I think her publisher made it's probably she might have made it a trilogy from the get-go, but I don't feel like she's just making it up as she goes.
She's a pretty experienced author, so I feel like she knows what she's doing and would have planned it out. At least, like, the overarching storyline, obviously not every single detail.
I feel like there's so many things that are being set up for foreshadowing from the first book. What we saw as just loose connections or whatever, that clearly it was pre-planned. Like, and it just we just happen to focus on certain things too much.
I think it's a bit of both to Lexi's question. Every chapter she ends with some sort of like pieces of a puzzle rather than it's not enough pieces to form a picture, but it's enough that if you want to change the direction of how you want to write the next book, you can, kind of, which is why it feels like every chapter feels very frustrating because it's like she gives you some salt, but it's like not enough for a taste, and then she maps out the taste later on. Yeah, bit of both.
Okay, follow-up question. Do you guys feel like there has been sufficient enough world building in the first book that the second book has been more about the characters and more about the story, or do you still not in it?
I don't think there's been like a lot of need for world building in this second one. Or I guess the world hasn't been built up anymore, maybe. Because we're pretty much, Nisun just does more traveling. We've seen that in the first book. Esun is just hanging out underground. like there's not really. I think the world building is mostly done. We're gonna get like history lessons on what the obelisks are and what their true purpose was, and we'll find out some more information about Father Earth and the moon and all that. But yeah, I think the majority of the world building is done.
I feel like they kind of cheated a little bit too, as far as that, right? Where they established the baseline of the world just fine in the book one, and then they just kind of like tabula rasa it, and it's like, all right, well, now we're having another season, so we're gonna have to deal with whatever new is coming. Hasn't really anything to do with what was prior necessarily. Like everything's about to change anyway, so we can just address as we go. And I agree, we are focusing way more on the characters now. Don't need to establish, well, we do. I would like to see more world built, like more history on this stuff, but you can't do 3 books of that. Like that's how you get a Robert Jordan 14-book series.
Right.
What do you think, Lexi? To both your questions.
I think, okay, this is the second question. I think I want more characters. I feel like she's still doing some world building, and I want more character interaction. I want what Leonard wants. I want more answers. I want more, I feel like this has been very established. I do like the boiled eggs. I like that, and I want more of that as well. But it just felt very slow, everything.
Yeah. So, Lexi, to your question, right, I think the world building is part of her storytelling. Like, when, the fact that you learn more about more obelisk or the moon, those are part of the world, right, that the characters didn't know about, and I feel like that's the goal. We're trying to figure out what happened to the world years ago. Like, why are we here? But like that part of world building, it feels like it's part of the overarching storyline. Maybe that's why it feels like you want more, but you're not getting it because they are main plot lines.
Yeah. Okay, that was all I wanted to know.
Rick, how did you like the first 7 chapters of this book? Are you engaged or?
I was excited to see more Shafa, and I'm not being ironic now. Like I said, I still think there's going to be a lot more to that, and I want to see some more character growth out of him. Like whether that's good or bad, I don't care, but I want to see. It makes me curious as to what he's doing at that com. It's kind of fun to. I kind of wish we didn't just get to go see Iche. I kind of wish that was a little bit. I wish we didn't go into that yet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it just took out a lot of the mystery that was from the first book.
Yeah. Right in chapter 1, just a slap in my face.
Yeah, seriously, it would have been so more. It would have been so fun to be like he was the hero the whole time, where he's just saved her, got her out of there or something. Like that would have been a feel good moment. But I just, especially with her now just being like, yeah, whatever, I don't care about them for now. Like that's not what she said, but you know what I mean. Like, and now we're following them. It's just leading to that. Well, him and his daughter are gonna come, or at least her daughter's gonna come to her now. Because that's the only reason why you would stop having them follow, because the daughter's gonna come. So I didn't really answer your question. I was engaged, but I guess I don't know how you would have done it differently, besides for just
remember something about chapter 1. Have you guys noticed that 30% of chapter 1 talks about this Loris? And when I was reading through it, I was like, oh, is this a new main character they wanted to introduce? And then halfway through, she just is not mentioned anymore. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of character building for a character that's just gone.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it so far, though. I suppose it does make me more curious. I'm ready to go through the next 7 chapters.
How about you, Leonard?
What, the first 7?
Yeah.
A lot of things I was not satisfied with. It almost feels like you're getting strung along by the author intentionally. It's more frustrating to think why something isn't happening, and why is the most obvious thing not happening. It feels very illogical, just for the sake of creating suspense, and I really don't like that. And the whole trope, I can't tell you because I'm trying to protect you, that's That's bullshit. Like, so many shows, stories overuse that for not a good reason. And I hate that she's putting this now too, to make you buy book 3 so you can figure out all that yourself. It feels like that. It feels like the author is stringing us along just so we have to buy book 3, yeah. I did not enjoy the first 7 chapters that much.
Lexi?
I like that we got Nasoon's perspective, and it was unexpected. All of it. I was kind of disappointed with Asun's chapters, and I love having somebody to hate. So I'm glad that Shafa didn't die, but I'm still pissed about it.
Yeah. And you got Jija now too.
Right. Ugh. Anyway, I do, in closing thoughts, there was definitely a theme in like the first part where the author is saying, and this is a part of you, and Shafa's a part of you, and this theme of like, and this is also a part of you, and I think that's gonna come back later.
Yeah, so I guess I liked the chapters I started to like Asun more. Mostly because she finally did start asking some of the questions, and I know Leonard is frustrated that she's not asking enough, but literally like asking 2 questions is such a huge improvement over where she was last book. And I think Lerna's little speech to her is finally like snapped her out of, her grief and her single-mindedness, not caring about anything around her. And that was very boring to read for me. And so I think she's finally got, she's thinking bigger picture and not just like focus on herself, which I think is interesting. So I'm excited to see where she goes. I think, by the next podcast, right, we're going to read the next 7 chapters, and I think it'll be a lot of kind of filler stuff until the end of the book, or like setting up the end of the book. Hopefully we get, I did feel like the Alabaster has to go to the bathroom and she leaves, and they set up like a date for when they can next talk, and they're going to miss that date, I'm sure. So that's annoying, but unless they don't, and then we just get all the answers in future chapters. So who knows? I feel like we're leaving on a negative note where
I do
none
feel
of us are like
What?
I think the next 7 chapters are going to open up like 8 new plot lines, and we're only going to close maybe 3 of them.
That's what I'm afraid of.
And the next 5 are going to be for the final book.
I feel like these books don't really open plot lines. Like,
right.
We only have like 2 storylines basically. I mean, maybe 3, but Shafa and Nasoon are in the same place, and so like our last storyline is just Asun.
I wouldn't call them plot lines, but the author throws in a lot of new questions throughout the book. Like, Firstly, the boy is talking to Shafa, and he's like, "Oh, I know what it costs," and then now you're asking, "Okay, what's the cost? What is this voice?" And then talking about stone, why is one stone eater following one origini? Like never answer that question either. It's like this author just constantly sprinkles little questions throughout the whole story, and it makes it so hard to like piece everything together, because it's like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's just like it feels very confusing to read, and maybe because I just feel overloaded with so many questions, and the characters that she puts in it don't seem to have the brain capacity to ask decent questions.
Yeah.
They got some other things to worry about, Leonard. All right. We don't want answers. Okay.
I do want Taki to just like take over.
Yes.
Like, she's the inquisitive mind that's going to be like, I don't care if you're taking a shit, Alabaster. Like, tell me the fucking answer.
Yeah.
So I'm worried more that she's going to end up being like, randomly have the answers, and she's just going to be like, oh yeah, I could totally do this because of science, and it's just going to be a random solution for a problem later down the line instead of actually like creating these questions. Or
like that. I would like
You
love
want
that
that?
actually. If as long as it's done well, where like you see the clues and like her studying and learning stuff and like
She's gonna feed Alabaster her yellow rock. She's gonna get better.
The
That yellow rock is definitely gonna be like that's a what is it called when it's
you think it kills stone eaters? Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina? Yeah, that Yellowstone's definitely gonna be like a Deus Ex Machina. They're gonna shove it in Asune's brain. She's gonna be a counter guardian, and she's gonna fight Shafa to the death on the moon after they resummon it. It's gonna be great.
Well, I'll buy you pizza if that's how it ends.
I'm just gonna say, like, I'm gonna keep shouting. I'm gonna be throwing all these wild ones out there. One of these has got to be fucking right. Okay.
Yeah, except we're gonna forget them all because there's too many and nobody's
But
writing them down.
It's recorded.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
who's gonna listen?
I feel like Alabaster has so much foreshadowing to him.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's intentionally cryptic in all his answers, and I bet he's gonna die before he actually provides any answers.
Oh, he's totally
it feels
gonna
like,
pull a Yoda. Yeah.
yep. He's just going to like, oh, turn to stone just before it answers the most important question, and
never
okay.
forget. Blah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Please don't do that. Please let that not be a thing.
All right, should we wrap this up?
Let's do it.
First, shout out to the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers hockey team who just lost the NCAA championship in overtime. Well fought. Second place is still better than almost everyone else. And we are Discount Bin. Thanks for listening and or watching on YouTube. We're on YouTube and most podcast apps. And we'll
Like
see
and
you
subscribe.
Definitely like and subscribe. There's links everywhere. I'm just kidding. I don't put any of those things because yeah.
Just click whatever link comes to you.
Yeah,
It's
just
definitely not fishing. It's fine.
And next week we'll have the the next 7 chapters, and then the week after that we'll have the finish of book 2. Have a great night, everyone, or
Bye.
day.
How inclusive.
I don't know when they're listening.
You know, second place means first loser, right?
Yeah,
I'm glad
they're
you
the
didn't
first
say that.
loser.
I was
I
about
mean,
to say
better
that.
be the first loser than the second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth, right?
So you lost.
Making the championship is, good on its own. And they're a bunch of college kids. So let's not be mean to them. I'm Daniel. I'm here with Leonard. You should say hello.
No. I thought waving is enough.
No.
It's a podcast. They can't see you.
They just imagine it, it's fine.
Just
Yeah.
wish.